Yeah, let's move over to Spain now. La Liga fixtures on screen here. Des Norris, but obviously the major talking point here is as Barcelona visits Alaves. Matteo Alemany talking about Dembele, which already Xavi spoke of course. And, well, that's it pretty much. We understand Dembele's decision to not continue at Barcelona, and we've communicated our decision to leave him out. We want players that are committed to the club, and we have told him he has to leave the club as soon as possible. There's also issues as well from the Spanish Players Union's perspective, because it could be illegal, just the treatment of Dembele from a contractual situation. Jimmy, jumping to you right now.
Yeah, this is pretty obvious when you pull back. Barcelona would lose him for free at the end of the season. Yeah. So why not make us think about it now and try to salvage some kind of money for him? They paid a ton for this guy, and you want to scrape and get something. So if they can get Newcastle to buy in at 30 million or whatever, and
just want to
regain some of it.
They want him.
They want it. Otherwise, yeah, but there is some pressure, and the Players Union is right in Spain that this is really towing that line of what's appropriate and how you're treating this player, especially if you separate him from the rest of the group, because if he's signed, you have to treat him like everybody else. So I'm curious to see how this is going to go, but I think they want to move him because they want to salvage something. And I think they're building a narrative in the media about how he has this bad attitude and all this type. I don't know if that helps if you're going to try to sell him, but it's interesting. And I just feel like there's some chess being played here in terms of how they can just scrape and get some money for him, because if they lost him without getting anything in return, that would be one of the worst signings, I think, in Barcelona's history. Despite him being good when he plays, he's just hurt all the time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think it's a bit of a mistake on the Barcelona leadership's part to be public like that, because if that is the intention to try and get him out, you just do that behind the scenes. You don't come out publicly, make a big scandal out of it, because, you know, that completely changes the complexion of the final couple of weeks of the transfer window. And Barca trying to get something for him before they lose him for nothing. So I think it's pretty poorly handled by Barcelona. I can see why the motivation is there, but I just think they're going about it completely the wrong way. And, you know, also for Dembele to find the right kind of suitor at this moment in time, unless it is a Newcastle, as LME said, you know, they are interested. I don't see anyone willing to stump up the money for someone who's so unreliable.
Especially if he's a free agent in this. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts of that is two pieces, as you guys have already touched on. I mean, one of that I think is it just seems like this new Barcelona has a little bit of evil in them, differently. And I know it's been sort of a decade of this now, but like it just feels like the old Barcelona past. They used to keep a lot in the locker room. You know, there was this, you know, the Mesquite thing was a real thing. La Masia coming through that, the respect for the club. Nobody's bigger than the club, but now it seems like they're willing to air their dirty laundry for a player that, look. I found two things shocking. One, that they tried to re-sign him multiple times and give him a new contract. That doesn't make any sense to me because he's injured all the time. So why? And two, if that's the narrative, if that's just the narrative to say, hey, we want him because he's so great and he's so good, maybe somebody else will come and bite on that idea that he's so good that they'll come and spend money on him. But to air that out like that just seems odd, especially a player that's under contract. You usually play a player to the very end. If it doesn't work out, then it's just a bad loss. But you don't throw a player out of the club or move them to the reserves and those types of things unless you're trying to make a statement with them. I just think that's the wrong way to treat a player, because you don't sign a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year contract to only do 4.5 years of it. You do all 5. And if it goes sour, it goes sour, and you got to sort of eat those losses. And it just seems like they're not willing to do that for how much money they spent on him, and they're trying to make him a villain. And by the way, we've seen in the last couple of years a rise in potential defamation cases happening against players and their rights when clubs go out on a limb and sort of ruin them as people to the public eye. There's sometimes or becoming more and more ramifications around that if it's not actually true.
Yeah, well, this is why I mentioned Rounders as a good example. And Barcelona is basically Teddy. John Malkovich is Teddy. But I don't think that Dembele is that innocent here, by the way. At least his representation.